This year, the sport of competitive table tennis is celebrating a major milestone, and a Grand Rapids woman is part of it. 40 years ago, the U.S. table tennis team traveled to Japan to compete in the World Table Tennis Championship. And during that visit, the team was invited to visit China, making them the first American sports delegation to step foot in the country in more than 20 years. That visit sparked a historical movement that's now known as ping pong diplomacy.
That's right, Sue. Connie Suarez of Grand Rapids was part of that team. There she is all those years ago. And Connie joins us live in studio. Thanks so much for your time. 40 years later, 1971, Time magazine called it the ping heard round the world.
Right.
Did you have any idea at that point in time what was to follow, that communist China would open up the way that it did?
Not at the actual time that we went in. We knew it was pretty important because when we crossed the border from Hong Kong into China, all the reporters were just all over us because they weren't going to let any reporters in there. And we knew at that point this must really be something big.
And this was like a fluke invite, wasn't it? It was happenstance that you were invited to come over at the last minute.
Yeah, it was the last day of the world competition in Nagoya, Japan, and they extended the invitation for our team to come in and visit China and play friendship matches. So it was a last minute thing for us.
Right.
That's for sure.
And the Nixon White House, they were paying attention at the time. They have Richard Nixon on tape talking to Henry Kissinger saying, we've got to take advantage of this, but we don't want to seem like it's too obvious.
Right.
And then next year he would go over to China to make his historic visit.
Right, in April of '72.
It's amazing. And so 40 years later now, the team is going to gather again over across the lake in Milwaukee during the U.S. Open Championship.
Right.
For table tennis. And what's going to happen there?
On July 1st, the veterans, which were considered veterans 40 years later, and some elite players and some junior players are going to be doing an exhibition at the Art Museum in Milwaukee. The Chinese have an art exhibit there, and so we're going to be performing there. And then on July 3rd, at the actual tournament, the U.S. Open, we'll be doing an exhibition there too.
I know they call you veterans, but you and your husband, Del, you're still active. You still play.
Well, my husband does. He plays in the senior division, and I did play last year when we hosted the U.S. Open Championships here. I played in the veterans 65 and over, or 64 and under, I guess, and I won that. But typically speaking, I don't play anymore.
Do you ever? Is it proper to call it ping pong?
Sure, because the Chinese do it. No, the Chinese do that. Well, if you can't understand anything else, you'll hear ping pong in the conversation. So. And
you were saying as well that you're going to be able to go over to China and participate in festivities that the Chinese will be having to commemorate this 40th anniversary.
Yes, in the fall sometime.
That's phenomenal. Well, we look forward to catching up with you.
Well, thank you.
Connie Suarez, 40 years later, part of history, ping pong diplomacy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.